press record now and you'll probably receive a box that says okay to start recording. Okay, so thank you, and to those people who have just joined, feel free to just pop into the chat and let us know who you are and what organisation you're from. I'm just going to start by talking quickly about why did this project come about? Where does it come from? So you might remember a little bit of March 2020, there's something called a pandemic started, and a lot of organisations thought, oh, how are we going to collect meaningful data and ethically from our the people that we work with, our partners in the field, if we can't get there? Well, how are we going to ensure that our programs, our WASH programs in particular, are working if we can't actually talk to our beneficiaries or to our partners directly and face to face? So we started to think about, as a community of practice, about ways that we could organise, I guess, together to come up with ways to orient monitoring, evaluation, learning tools and processes to travel restricted times. So in response to COVID, and we're very lucky to receive some funding from Water for Women for this piece of work and this toolkit, and it is directly informed by the needs and experiences of civil society organisations within the Water for Women Fund. We did a survey with them and asked them, what are your monitoring, evaluation, learning needs, especially around the qualitative piece? And how do you use qualitative data? What sort of tools and techniques do you use? And also, who are you gathering data from? So after that survey, we designed a process and a program to respond to that and build the capacity of the Water for Women fundees through a series of webinars. And this today, what we're showing you is a culmination of that project and that work. Now, just as I discuss the background to this piece, I'm also just going to show you a page on the website, which is around theory and practice. And I know that a lot of our audience today are very au fait with the difference between quantitative and qualitative monitoring, evaluation and learning tools and processes. But just so that we're all on the same page, quantitative is, of course, around how many, how often, how frequently, what percentage, what proportion, to what extent. So it's numbers oriented. Qualitative, on the other hand, is more focused on the how, why, the what factors, what led to, what's changed. And this sort of data collection is really important, especially when monitoring gender equality and inclusion outcomes, because they're subtle, they're long-term, they're nuanced, they're around social norms and shifting societal expectations around roles and responsibilities. And they're not easily quantified. There's, of course, ways you can mix the approaches and bring in some quantitative and qualitative in a range of ways. On the website, you'll see we've got some common ways that quantitative and qualitative data collection methods can be mixed, otherwise known as mixed methods. But we're really focusing today on that qualitative piece and how do you get rigorous and ethical information to inform your programs, to respond to changes or unexpected shifts and changes in the context that means you have to orient your project, accordingly. So that's the learning piece, of course, and the adaptive management piece. So that's where this project came from. And if you weren't part of the first 3 webinars that have been in this series, you will be able to watch them on the web. They are actually on this website. And so you will have a chance to look at them as you receive the website link and investigate it. So there is a way to kind of see where this came from and, the progression that it's gone through. So that's all I wanted to say in terms of where did this come from and why, and I guess that focus on remote methodologies and ways that we can still get good quality data from our projects, even if we can't travel very easily. But I just wanted to ask if Jose or Stu wanted to add anything more about the why this project and who it's for and what it's for. Just see if Jose has anything more to add there about the why this project, and totally fine if I've covered it. Just wanted to make sure I haven't missed anything.
Oh, Melita, I think you've covered it perfectly. I wouldn't have anything more to add.
You're so lovely.
Done a fantastic job. No.
Oh, you're so lovely. Great.
I don't know, Stuart may though have something to say.
Yeah, I think Melita's covered all the important things.
Okay, good. Well, thank you. Just in fund perspective, it is, it is an important part of the monitoring evaluation capacity building approach. And Stu has been, of course, running the monitoring evaluation community of practice through the hub, and Jose, the gender equality inclusion piece. So this tool really needs to support the work they're doing across the fund, and also be something that is long-term. We hope that this tool will be used, for a long time and be updated accordingly. So I'm just going to pass to Jess now, who's going to give us a little bit of a, orient us to the kind of architecture. She's the chief architect of this tool. And take it away, Jess, in terms of giving us a sense of what's in there and where is it.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Melita. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of explain why we decided on using a website instead of another format that could have been easily accessible as well. We decided to go with a website because there's a lot of different moving parts in this. We wanted to make sure that individuals, fund partners had access to all the different aspects that you'll be able to see throughout this. And so you'll notice that it's not just, there's a lot of links between things, there's a lot of connections between things, and those are much more difficult to show and to have in a paper documentation. And so for the moment, we're having this on the website, but there's a lot of things that you can download, a lot of things that you can access, copy, or print. And so feel free, if you are more of a paper-based person, any of the materials on here can be downloaded, it can be easily accessed. So just let us know if there are any issues with that, and we're happy to support that as well. So I want to just run through the kind of orientation of the overview of this site. So as you notice, Melita has shared with us a little bit of the homepage. On the homepage, you'll see links to the 3 main pages of the site. One is theory and practice, where we spent a little bit of time previously. Second one is approaches, which we'll get into in a moment. And the third is techniques and tools. And again, there's lots of links between these 3 different aspects all throughout the site that you'll be able to kind of go seamlessly back and forth through them. We also just have a bit of information about the project and about ISF as well on this site. If you are looking for this page, we'll share the link. We'll ask you to bookmark it at the end of the webinar, but it's also available at the bottom of the projects list here on the Waterfront page for UTS. So quickly, just going into theory and practice, this page, as Melita showed earlier, highlights kind of the differences between quantitative and qualitative work. It also has some information about how do we hold integrity while we're doing qualitative research, how do we plan properly for qualitative research, and I keep saying research, but really it's MEL. Looking at do no harm protocols and interviewing techniques, and these little graphics and information will appear. These are all, if you click on them, they will download a Word document to your computer that you can easily adapt and make your own for your organization. We also have a bit of an understanding of how qualitative work can be done for MEL, and thinking about the different ways and times that you might want to add that look at MEL in a particular project, as well as the links to the webinars and a glossary, because we know that there's a lot of words that might be new to you or might be new to your team. So lots of different words and information there. And lastly, some recommended reading. Some of these books you've seen us look at previously in our previous webinars. Some of them are paid, some of them are open access. I highly recommend this one here, which is open access. If you are interested in learning more about qualitative research methods, it is free. There's a USAID program as well. So lots of free and paid resources that you can link to in the recommended reading section. So scrolling back up, we'll move into our approaches page. Under the approaches page, we've curated 8 different approaches that are methodological approaches to doing qualitative MEL. And each of those has its own sub-page. So we'll go through these a bit more in detail, but you'll notice that there's a little blurb and some more information. And if you click anywhere on this, you'll be able to get into that particular page. Then I'll go to the tools and techniques. Or techniques and tools, pardon me. And you'll notice on here that we have a lot of different sub-activities or things that aren't really an approach, but are activities or tools or resources or approaches, small approaches that you can use within these wider approaches. And these words get very muddy, they get very muddled. So just bear with us as we use the different words. But in this techniques and tools section, you'll see everything from how to run a theory of change exercise to doing journey mapping, generating insights. This is like an insight in Mad Lib. If you've ever done Mad Libs as a child, it's a way of getting a quick insight sentence together. There's information on laddering exercises or card sorting exercises. So all of the activities that might be referenced within the approaches are here, as well as a series of activities that are related to analysis that are also referenced throughout the rest of the site. So it might be a bit overwhelming at the moment, but hopefully as you get a chance to go through it and to look at this, you'll be able to understand a little bit more about what these tools really are. So I'm just going to click on one at random, click on the digital tools one just to show you what this might look like. So we've also, as part of this, curated a whole list of digital tools. And again, this link is throughout the website, so easily be able to find it, but different tools that we recommend with, and the web links were all valid as of May. So they're a little bit old, but they should be fine at the moment. So video conferencing, social media, messaging, collaborative platforms that you might want to use, survey platforms that you might want to use, translation. So we've talked about these in the previous webinars, but you'll have a chance to be able to access these and to find them more easily on the digital tools page. And I'll just share one more quick technique or tool with you quickly. So maybe let's go with visioning. And as you see here on the visioning page, there's information about the approach, step-by-step instructions. If you do want to print it out, just make sure that all of the toggles are open, and then you can print the page and all of the information will be there. Lastly, on every page, there's a travel restricted times tab. It has information about how to conduct this activity in travel restricted seasons. So thinking about individuals that might have computer access, smartphone access, or just basic phone access. So ways that you can adapt this particular activity for these types of times. Lastly, there are downloadable materials and examples for each one of the activities, and you can continue to explore. Anywhere you see a link next to, like, for example, here under the Learn More, these are clickable. So if you click on this, it'll take you to an external site that'll help you find out more information from other folks other than ourselves that have written about this particular tool. So hopefully that gives you a good understanding. Like I said, everything is very connected. So if you wanted to take from this particular visioning activity, you can pop back into the appraisal section, and we'll open up to a new page, and you'll be able to go through the participatory rapid appraisal page, which is an approach page as shown in this green color. So notice that it's also color coded throughout between the green, which is approaches, and the blue, which is tools and techniques. So hopefully that was a bit more than 5 minutes. Sorry.
That's great, Jess.
Sorry, Melita, but I'll pass it back
perfect.
to you.
It's perfect. Look, just so that everyone has their expectations right, today's not going to be hugely interactive, other than the fact that we've given you the link there in the chat for the website itself. But it's more Jess and I sort of giving you a bit of, show and tell, and saying this is here and this is here, and it might just spark some ideas for you to then go and check out some of those particular approaches. But also feel free to let us know if you want to talk about any particular approach in a bit more detail, or get a little bit more information, because that will give us feedback about what might need to be added to these pages if we've left something important out. But on every page, as Jess has talked about, there's further reading, resources, but there's also a lot of templates that you can use and adapt for your own needs, and step-by-step guides as to if you're going to approach this particular activity, here are the steps that you would need to take. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a show and tell today, And then we'll give you a bit of a mentee at the end. There will be a quiz, so please do take note and pay attention. That's fantastic, Jess. So do you want to show us the page on positive deviance?
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Lovely,
yeah, so just
one for this sector to use. Yeah, thank you.
So we're just going to spend the next little while, next little bit of the webinar, going through a few of these approaches and showing you the page, just so you can get a little bit of use. If you want to open it up on your computer and go through this as we're doing this, please feel free. So as you'll notice, the positive deviance page has a series of related tools that we have kind of connected in with this. So aspects like the digital tools page, which I showed you just a moment ago, sense making workshop, which is very much aligned with the workshop that the fund has been using, thematic analysis, which links to a lot of our materials from webinar 3, if you've been following this series, and also generating insights. So those are related tools that you might want to use with positive deviance. On the page, we have a brief introduction about how positive deviance can be used. So you might want to use it observationally, where you're looking at a single point of time. You might want to use it comparatively, where you're looking at a single point of time, or comparing different types of people, or longitudinally, where you're following positive deviance across a long period of time. And positive deviants are individuals or groups who display successful behaviors. So they're the kind of the best case studies, and we want to learn from them why they are so successful. And so that's the whole point of this approach. We want to also encourage teams to reflect on why these particular individuals are so successful, to find strategies to support others to be similarly successful, and also to collect related insights that might help us further to make others successful as well. And we're following the steps in this particular guide from the Positive Deviance Collaboration and Collaborative. There's an external website. Again, you can click on this link and it will take you there. And we're following their 4 steps that they recommend. So again, if you want to print this off, you're welcome to. It's not super detailed, but you can click and open these. It will print out very easily, as well as some ideas for travel restricted times. We have here a sample participant information sheet, which I won't be able to open up on my computer because I'm just sharing my screen, but it's a Word document that maybe we'll share one of them later, Melita, that goes through all of the information that you would need to share with a participant, and also a sample interview guide. These are both in Word, so you're welcome to update them as need be. And also we have a list of planning checklists, interview strategy checklists, and things. Learning more, the discussion from the collaborative, discussion platform from the collaborative, and also you can then link to other approaches at the bottom. So that's positive deviance. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to just pop them into the chat, and one of our team members will try to respond as quickly as they can. So moving back to the approaches page, I'm going to explore the Q methodology page as well. You'll notice that these pages look very similar. We're just trying to get the understanding for you of what's really here, so that you can engage with it further on your own. So very similar layout, you'll notice here. We have a lot of related tools like laddering and card sorts, as well as digital tools listed here. So laddering is when you put cards in order, or put cards in piles, which is card sorts. So you might want to look at those related tools. You'll notice that the head or the home page picture is actually a Q sort from Cambodia. And so you might want to, you're welcome to use that photo if that helps for anything as well. And once again, if you click on the little plus sign for the toggles, you'll be able to understand the step-by-step instructions of how we recommend doing a Q sort. So for this one, for example, clarifying the objectives. What are you trying to do? Who are you inviting? Who are the participants? Are you looking longitudinally or just at one point in time? And the next step would be curating the cards. Using the Q sort, obviously, we have step-by steps, and then how do you do the data analysis and sense making. We have lists as relevant to external sites and relevant digital tools that might make this easier for you as well. I'm just going to scroll down and show you what kind of activities or links we have here. So the participant information sheet, a sample interview guide. Once again, we have a set of cards that are PDF for critical consciousness and change-based cards. So these different PDF documents can be used by yourselves. They have opportunities for you to write on the top of the card what the card is about, and also to number them. So if you want to add more information to those cards, you can. And if the cards aren't working within the next couple of months and you need help with making new cards or cards that are more tailored to your specific context, you can let us know. But these will remain kind of closed at the end of the next couple months. Yeah, wonderful. So that's cute. I'm just scrolling in my list.
That's great, Jess.
Yeah, handing over to Melita.
Just thinking, for people that haven't heard of Q-sort or card sorts before, and in the WASH context, what sort of images might be on the cards and how might people sort of use them in evaluating or monitoring a WASH program, for instance?
Yeah, that's a great question. So right for the Q-sort, we've kind of curated 2 different types of card sets that we think would be valuable for a Q-sort. So a Q-sort is like a laddering exercise. Maybe you've done a sanitation ladder where you put cards in order based on what you think is the worst toilet to the best toilet. Or maybe you've done pile sorting where you've been asked to take a stack of cards and put them into 3 different piles. These are quite common in qualitative research from years past. What we've done for this one is we've curated 2 different card decks. The first one is a critical consciousness card deck. And so they are statements, short 1-sentence statements around gender norms that a group could use to help understand what are the different subgroups within their participants. So looking at individuals that might have higher critical consciousness versus lower critical consciousness. Or there might be some groupings in that. And so these 16 cards all have 1 sentence on them that is a statement about gender norms, both positive statements and negative statements. And they can be used to be able to understand a bit more about where staff or change agents are coming from. The change-based Q-sorts draws on from a paper that ISF wrote in 2013, headed by Naomi Karad, which lists a whole bunch of possible GESI-related changes in the WASH sector. And so this particular card sort would allow individuals to sort cards where we think, yes, this is definitely happening, this type of change, or no, this type of change isn't happening. And so you're sorting them kind of into different, almost on a spectrum, to understand what types of changes are happening within your program. Those changes might be things related to confidence or changes related to communication in the workplace or at home. And they're just a way for us to understand those, and you can curate them further. So we've given you quite a few sets, and you're welcome to sort them and make them longer sets or shorter sets, or add or move them around as you feel fit. Does that help?
That's great. Thanks, Jess. Yeah, and really useful when you're working with people that, you know, literacy might be an issue, or language, or even just to help people kind of conceptualize things in a different way rather than just using words or just using an interview tool. That's great. Thank you, Jess. Well, maybe I'll talk a little bit about another tool, which is the theory-based most significant change. And this is one that some of our partners who are in the room today have worked with us on. And so big shout out to our East Meets West Cambodia team who have helped to develop these tools. Thank you very much, Kim Ho IV and team. So this one is, everyone's going to be familiar with theory of change and kind of really systematically laying out what type of change are you trying to create in your program and what change leads to what change. So sort of really understanding the links between changes and also the key actors and the power dynamics in a context. This one is connecting most significant change, qualitative MEL practice, to elements of the theory of change that would be best assessed with that particular tool. So just going into the page itself, very similar layout as you've seen, and it's just kind of giving you some key stages around how to not only create a theory of change, but then identify where the most significant change process would be most useful. Most significant change in a nutshell is asking an interviewee or participant, beneficiary, to explain, as a result of being part of this program, this WASH program, this water resource management training, a policy and planning project, as a result of your engagement in XYZ, what has been the most significant change that you've experienced? And that's it, and leaving it at that. But then using prompting questions to help them really tell a big, fulsome story if possible. So it's a very open approach, and it enables the participants to tell their story in their own way and not be necessarily channeled too much in a particular direction. So that's the most significant change. And then once you get all your change stories, you have a process of identifying what are some common themes, but also what has been the most significant change of that cohort of stories. So we've got the same sort of thing, steps as to how to do that process, information sheets and interview guides, but we've also got these PowerPoints that have been created with East Meets West. And they similarly to, oh no, it is loading now, that's good. So we've got these PowerPoint decks that you can customize and use, and it really takes you through a workshop, essentially quite a detailed workshop, talking through what the technique is, and also then asking participants to start to brainstorm for their own project what the different layers are. So this one just gives you a sense from our team that we worked with in Cambodia of how they laid out their theory of change. And then connected to that is the most significant change slide deck, which is, it's almost like another day, really. Ideally, you do this in. And then you start to identify, well, what changes do we want to find out about, and who are we going to ask, and how are we going to ask them, and when, and that sort of thing. So it really steps you through a process of putting in place a most significant change. Very thorough process. Here's an example of Kim Ho talking to his most significant change story. You can see them up on the wall there. So yes, this one is very face-to-face and ideally done in a workshop face-to-face setting, and going and sitting down with someone, having a cup of tea and asking them what has been the most significant change you've experienced. But it can be done online. So again, with that toggle that Jess has explained there, we've got ways to do it in travel restricted times, and ways you can adapt the process, and even do the voting process and the panel process, it's called in MSc. You can do it all online in various ways, adapting it. So that's theory-based most significant change. Very connected to that, just for 2 seconds, everyone from Water for Women will know about the stories of transformation. So that's just another style of asking participants to talk about what has been important and significant to them as a result of being part of this project, and in what ways and how, and what facilitated it, and what has been part of creating that change. So the change in this sense is about transformation, and transformation is going beyond just improving the lives of people, but it's actually improving their social position, how they're valued in society, as well as the full realization of their rights. So it is very much at that JEDC transformative level that you're looking for change stories in. And there's some beautiful examples from Water for Women here of 3 change stories from Bhutan and from Papua New Guinea, and also from Timor-Leste. So encourage you to have a look at them and different ways of being able to present your stories of transformation. It doesn't have to be in the template, but the template is provided there, which is based on the Water for Women template. So that's that one. Jess, do you want to have a little chat about PRA?
Yes, happily. Sorry, I was muted. Wonderful.
You're
so
fine.
Yeah, running through, sorry, again, we apologize for the fact that we're just blitzing you with information, but hopefully you are also going through this on your own, going as we're talking, clicking on different things, downloading different things. Please, please, please feel free to, even if you're not watching my face, I do not mind, open up the website and feel free to just explore as we're talking. That's really helpful for you and also for us. So just looking at the participatory rapid appraisal page, I showed this a little bit before. PRA is really an interactive approach to qualitative MEL, and it puts participants in the driving seat. And so the idea is it's really interactive. And making it interactive when you are remote is a little bit complex, but we'll talk about that in just a moment. It's most commonly conducted in focus groups, discussion groups, or small workshops, and it can be done in a variety of different ways. So we give some ideas on clarifying the objectives, and again, the step-by-step instructions on how we recommend conducting this. And then also give some examples on the travel restricted times. I'm just gonna give you, to show you a little bit, we've specifically for the participatory rapid appraisal, we've compiled a Google slide deck, which is if you just click on this, you'll get to a Google slide that looks like this. This includes all of the canvases that we have included for each of the activities within the PRA that we're recommending. So things like daily clock, things like timeline, things like visioning, all of these canvases are now here on this Google slide. And you're welcome to go ahead and type in these things. These will automatically resize if you have more typing. You can use sticky dots to vote. And so this also is here if you are interested in seeing and using this particular approach online using a Google slide template. And again, all of those Google slide templates are here, everything from the matrix that we recommend to ladder canvases and the Q sorts. Going back to the participatory rapid appraisal or PRA page, I just wanted to draw your attention to the sample information sheet as well as the sample focus group guide, so you can get a chance to see what this really looks like. And so again, I just downloaded this. This is a Word document. And when you download it, it will look a little bit like this. You'll get a chance to add your own logo, and anything that's in red is something that we recommend updating. So it's just this is a sheet that you could translate and give to any participant. And it goes through really some fairly rigorous and hopefully useful ethical considerations. So if you have concerns and complaints, you know, who a participant would reach out to, and what are the types of risks, what are you going to be doing during the process. So we've put this all together for you to have access to. And again, this is a sample, so you would need to obviously update this. Another focus group guide, this is another document that would be it's also included. And again, these guides are in all of the approaches, very similar formatting, similar style. Again, just this is something that you can print off or use digitally. And it has the overview of exactly what you would want to do and some notes and observations. So hopefully that's helpful. I'm going to move now to a couple of the activities. So with PRA, the idea with PRA is that you select maybe 2 or 3 different activities to do as part of the focus group or the workshop. And so just we've kind of curated a series of Jessie focused or Jessie related activities. I've already showed you visioning. You saw the daily clock as part of the Google slide template. But I'll just click really quickly again, one more on mapping. And this again will take you to the mapping page, which is in blue for techniques. And there again will be opportunities to download canvases, which are PowerPoint or PDF, pardon me, canvases that you can use with your teams. And you have some fairly awkward drawings that I did in my living room a couple of weeks ago of some community maps from my mind. And again, once again, there's linked materials. So going back to the PRA, there are quite a few different activities that we've put together that could be valuable. We're not handing you, this is exactly what you should do, but we're giving you the tools for you to be able to do this easily. And so once again, there's visioning, journey mapping, daily clock, mapping exercises for spatial norms, which is like space, and so mobility mapping, you may have heard of, card sorts, ladders, and matrices. And again, all of these have downloadable PDF templates that you can use, as well as access to further resources. So that's PRA. This is probably the biggest page in our website because it has a lot of different links and it links to a lot of different activities. I'm going to go up to the approaches again, and we're going to just briefly chat about learning diaries. So of the 2 approaches that we had a lot of interest in for the remote work, the 2 were learning diaries and photo voice. And the reason we think that is because those are the 2 most easily adapted to remote MEL. So of all of the ones, the photo voice and learning diaries, this one are really immediately adapted to a remote option. And so we had a lot of folks take up the learning diaries. We had learning diaries happening with CFAR and also with IRC. So we don't have that to share with you at the moment, but if you have any questions, feel free to reach out either to them or to us. Yeah, so again, very similar overview here. Again, information about how you would do a sense making workshop or thematic analysis with information. And downloadable activities include a sample slide deck, very similar to what Melita shared with the theory of change and the most significant change. Sample participant information sheet. We have 2 of those. That's something for me to fix. I'm not quite sure why we have 2. I found an error. That's good.
It's a bonus. You
bonus.
get two for the price of 1. Jess, who would fill out a learning diary, and what kind of format does it take?
Yeah, it can take many different formats, and it can be many different people that would fill one in. So it can be change agents, or it could possibly staff members. But the idea is to systematically collect insights relating to all sorts of different types of change. And so in the slide deck, we actually recommend going through step by step and determining, similar to the most significant change workshop. There's also a workshop slide deck for this, of what specifically do you want to collect information about. So for example, in the domains, it can also be using the theory of change. And then what types of prompts are going to be used for the diaries? Is the prompt going to be the same each time, or are you going to change the prompts? And there's lots of different formats that diaries can take. So they can be digital, they can be handwritten, they can be pictorial. It can be done through a surveying app or a messaging app like WhatsApp, or an interactive board. It can be closed, so only the facilitator sees it, or open, all participants see it. And also it can be, there's lots of different ways to do this. So we recommend that teams that want to use diaries do a workshop first to make sure that everybody's on the same page about what they're trying to actually get with diaries. Yeah. Okay, wonderful.
Right.
And so moving on to the next one, which would be life histories. Again, sorry for the whirlwind tour here. Oops. On the wrong one, approaches.
I think it's great, Jess, that we're giving people a sense of all the breadth of the tools. We probably won't get through all the approaches today, but maybe after life histories, or if you want to choose life histories or photo voice, Jess, whichever one you prefer people to have a look at, then we might just open it up for questions.
Yeah, I think we'll do photo voice. So again, just really quickly on life histories. These are ways where you interview people about their whole lives, not just the program, but you look to see where the program has changed people's lives. And so you do kind of a life timeline with individuals. And once again, all of the materials that you would need are here. So I'm gonna show you the photo voice, because this also has a lot of information on it, because we were able to pilot this in collaboration with IRC and CFAR and World Vision, and also as part of my PhD work. So there's a lot of extra materials that I'd like for you to be able to see.
And Jess, do you think that this part that you're about to present now might answer Stuart's question, which is, do you have a favorite approach, Melita or Jess?
Possibly.
Possibly.
Yes, I think this is my favorite, but I'm a photographer. So for me, it's really fun for me to be able to look at how other people see things. And I think that's what's really valuable about photo voice. Anyone can go and take a picture. And it's really not about the quality of the photo. That's secondary. But the most important thing is seeing it through someone else's eyes. And so what's really different about photo voice than just hiring a photographer to go and take pictures is you're asking individuals to learn from their own work and their own experiences and their own lens to share back with you. And that's very different. That's a different exercise than me going out as a photographer or hiring a professional photographer. And it's not necessarily about the quality of the photos, but it really is about getting other people's perspectives and valuing those perspectives. So in the photo voice, we've talked about this several times during the several, we've talked about this, I think 2 or 3 webinars now, we've talked about photo voice. So I'm not going to go through all of the details, but what we do have is a lot of resources for you. So there's a guidance note that goes through the entire approach if you're more of a paper-based person. There's a 2-hour training video. Sorry that it's so long, but it goes through the whole approach. If you're interested, we just videoed that as we did the training of trainers for IRC and CFAR and World Vision. We also have a lot of participant information materials. So sample information sheets, sample workshop consent forms, certificates for participants that go through, consent forms for photos. If people are taking pictures of other people, we need consent from those people. It gets a bit complicated. And then also photograph submission forms. So when you actually get the photos back, what are you going to do with them? Making sure you get the right, a good story to go along. And then for the orientation workshop, we've also included, I believe, 6 modules plus some bonus material that are videos and also PowerPoint presentations where valuable about smartphone skills. So if you want to include a smartphone skill training session, I prepared this as well. Thought I'd just throw it up there too. So this one has a ton of materials. This was probably the answer to Stu's question, why this one is significantly richer than the other ones. Part of it is because it was my PhD and I figured it'd be valuable to share that with you as well, but also I think it's kind of my favorite. So yeah, wonderful.
Love it, Jess.
So Melita,
thank you.